Hey YouTube, it's Kier. It is 2:39 in the morning. I have on no makeup. My hair was recently washed and it's a hot fucking mess. And I'm making a video! For those of you who know me in real life, it's basically a mini miracle that I am in front of a camera that will go out to the YouTube universe without makeup on, because I don't do that. But I have a bad fucking migraine tonight and I just don't care. Okay, so this is a video that I can't even really believe I'm making. I have had the idea of making this video since, I think it was last week, maybe the week before that. There was a big heroin bust in my hometown, and I knew a lot of the people that were rounded up in it because, well, my hometown is full of people who are addicted to drugs, and a lot of them are people I grew up with, people that were, you know, really good friends of mine when I was a teenager and shit like that. And it got me thinking about addiction, all types of addiction, because there's not just one type, as you will see by the end of this video. First of all, let me say that I am in no way, shape, or form offering like professional advice or any shit like that. I'm not qualified to do that. I don't do that. What I am giving you in this video is my own personal experiences with addiction and addicts and all of it. So, this is a video about addiction. In the Women Who Inspire Me video, I talked about how some of my earliest memories were of my grandmother's oldest sister dying. Well, in addition to that, some of my other earliest memories were... hold on, let me pause for a second. I'm not going to name names in this video. I'm not trying to piss anybody off that I know, or, sorry, I'm like, fidgety tonight. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. I'm not trying to out anybody. I'm not trying to make anybody look bad. That's not what this is about. So, I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to name associations. Except for my grandfather, because he's never used a computer in his entire life. He never will. And now he has Alzheimer's. And the man that I am going to talk about, he doesn't even remember. So, I don't really feel like it's a major violation of his privacy. The things I'm going to say in this video are not a family secret or any, like, everybody in the family remembers this shit except for my baby sister who wasn't born yet. Okay, having said all of that, one of the other parts of my earliest memories was of my grandfather's battle with alcohol that he had going on. Pretty much from the time that I was born until he stopped drinking when I was, give me a second, 8 years old? Yeah, around 8 years old. It didn't get really, really bad and violent and fucked up until I was about 3 or 4. And, yeah. So, I have, you know, some pretty early memories of very violent fights, because my grandfather, when he drinks liquor, is a very, very violent man. Now, normally, my grandfather is the greatest man I have ever met. He was a very, very hard worker his entire life. He loved all of us kids. He took care of all of us kids, because, you know, none of us had a dad to take care of us. He was our dad. He has never laid a hand on any one of us kids, but when it came to my grandmother, he would get drunk and he would beat the hell out of her. And then, you know, it got to a point where he would beat the hell out of her and she would beat the hell out of him right back. So I have a lot of early memories of this normally amazing man who did all of these wonderful things for me and with me, becoming a total unrecognizable psychopath and doing things like, you know, beating grandma until she was black and blue. Granted, during that incident, she ended up winning the fight by cracking him over the head with a cast iron skillet. No, I'm not making that up. Yes, that really happened. I was kind of raised old school in the sense that when that shit was going on, nobody called the cops. Like, that, you didn't call the cops. You handled it yourself. And that was how it was handled. And when he went to rehab, there, obviously we sought professional help for it. But as far as the violent aspect of it, Grandma fought back, and we would eventually come and get her, or we would be able to get out the door to take her to our house, and she would stay there until shit cooled down. Well, when I was 7, she left him for a period of time and told him she couldn't take it anymore, and he stopped drinking, and they got back together, and they've been together ever since. But it got pretty fucking brutal. Like, it was pretty brutal. There were times that I would be woken up at 3 o'clock in the morning by my mom, either saying, Grandpa's in jail, he's had another wreck, or saying, come on, we've got to go get Grandma, she's hiding in the closet, Grandpa's going to kill her. And when you're 4 or 5 years old, you don't know what the fuck you're going to find. I can't remember ever being afraid of him for myself, like afraid that he was going to attack me, but I was very afraid of what I was going to find when we got to the house, because he would black out and get so psychotic that he very well could have killed her. And, yeah. So, he got sober, and there was all that, and everything was fine for a period of time. But I come from a family of addicts, and I do not mean 1 or 2 people. I mean that a huge bulk of my family is addicted to something. Alcohol used to be the big thing, and then it became pills. Some members of my family are addicted to heroin. A lot of my family has tried a little of this, a little of that. Some of my family members have been addicted to amphetamines. Some of my family members have been addicted to the things that they take to get them off of everything. I come from a lot of addicts. And when I was a teenager, somebody very, very close to me started shooting up and was a junkie. And that was really, really hard for me to deal with. And I had a lot of shit I had to deal with as a result of that. And at the same time, I always had older friends, like all of my life. I didn't hang out with kids my age. I didn't get along with kids my age. And when I was 13, I left school to take care of my sister, and I homeschooled. So that meant that, like, the little few friends I had my age, I really lost contact with. So all of the people around me were 6 to 10 years older than me that I hung out with on a daily basis. As the whole shooting up Oxycontin thing swept through my hometown, a lot of the people I was very, very close to got swept up in it. So I'm watching this family member do it. I'm watching, this guy that I knew since I was 3 years old, who previously didn't touch drugs, and was kind of like my touchstone and my best friend and my rock, because he was the only other fucking sober person in the crowd that I could go to be like, man, I can't handle watching everybody fucking destroy themselves. Then one night he comes to my house with, blood pouring out of his fucking arm where he just shot up. It was everywhere. I was offered methamphetamine by a family friend for the first time when I was 12 or 13. I was offered cocaine for the first time by a very close family member when I was 15. I was offered Oxycontin, slam it, of course. I was offered every pill known to man, all in my teenage years. I was offered everything, but a lot of kids I grew up with, we were very, very poor. We were from the poor end of town. And because my hometown was not at all racially diverse, there was white people and, like, darker white people and, like, slightly lighter white people. Like, in all honesty, I went to school with 2 kids that were mixed race. They were black and white. And we didn't really, no one really thought of them as being any different because we grew up with them. But here I was, and I wanted culture so bad, and different experiences and different worldviews, and I was in, like, the Wonder Bread white capital of the world. But anyway, because we didn't have race to really divide us, we were divided by poor and rich. And those of us on the south end of town, the poor end, we were pretty much put in our place as often as possible. We went to school with some kids that were from the country, the out in the country in the area, and they made it known that they had money and we did not, and that we were below them because of it. But it wasn't just the kids that did this shit. I remember an experience in second grade where my second grade teacher told us that she didn't know why we bothered coming to school because we were just poor kids and we were never going to do anything with our lives, just like our parents didn't. It wasn't just coming from the kids. So a lot of the kids that I went to school with before they ever even got out of elementary school decided that there was no chance for them to do anything with their lives, and they gave up. And a lot of those kids, I would see them around town at known drug houses in our teens because they were already doing things like heroin, shooting up Oxycontin, doing cocaine, whatever they could get their hands on. They gave up. The thing is, when a kid that is a teenager starts doing drugs, to me that is so fucking tragic because they are too young to know what the fuck they're doing to their lives. They are too young to know this is going to have a lasting consequence and nothing you wanted out of life is going to happen, and you're going to fucking lose everything you've got, and you're going to fucking alienate everyone around you because you'll do anything to get that. They don't understand that because they are still children. But most of them came from households where their parents were on drugs, grandparents were on drugs, all the people around them was on drugs, it was easy to get, and they didn't, it was all we ever knew, all we ever saw on that end of town. So I have a lot of experience watching people destroy their lives with drugs. And by the way, if you are watching this and you have an addiction, that is not a fucking slam on you. It isn't. Because you know what? Life happens. I have seen people and their different reasons for doing drugs, and even though I never wanted any part of it, that doesn't mean that I don't understand how it happens. I wanted no part of it. I didn't want any part of it. I was terrified of destroying my life. I knew that I wanted to be a writer from the time that I was in the 4th grade, and I was not going to let anything get in the way of that. And I knew drugs were a dead-end street. But the only reason that I was able to see that was because I wasn't a normal kid. I wasn't, I never thought like a child. I always considered consequences from the time I was little. I've never climbed a tree in my life. That is no shit. I've never climbed a tree. Because as a little girl, I would look up at that tall tree and I would go, well, if I climb up that motherfucker and I can't get out that motherfucker, that's gonna fucking hurt when I fall. So that's just always the kind of person I was. I was very cautious. And I wasn't gonna take a chance. I mean, I'd smoke pot here and there. I have always had insomnia, and pot helped with that. I could take 2 tokes because that's all it ever took. And I'd be on my fucking ass without, having to take tranquilizers like doctors tried to give me in my teens. But I didn't want any part of the drug scene. I saw what it did, and that was enough for me. The first time a doctor tried to put me on something addictive, I was 14. Yeah, 13, 14, somewhere in that area. And it was right after I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder. I was working this shit out for myself the best that I could. I was using meditation. I have this one prayer. One day I'll post that prayer because it's really, really good for if you're going through a depressive, episode. But that wasn't good enough for them. I wasn't getting better quick enough for them. So they put me on Lexapro. They put me on Prozac, or tried to put me on these things. They tried to put me on, oh my god, that one that everybody used to take in the early 2000s. Damn it, I can't remember the name of it, but they tried to put me on that one too. And what would happen with these pills is I would take them, and the first couple times I took them, I'd get really, really sleepy and go to bed, which was fine because I was supposed to take them at night. But when I woke up, I would feel fucking terrible because I'm the kind of person that I can literally get a hangover from anything. I get hangovers from weed. If I smoke weed, I will wake up the next day with a headache. It's just how I am. So I would wake up feeling terrible, and then nothing happened. You know, I would take them as prescribed for the amount of length I was supposed to take them, and I did not get any better. So to me, it wasn't worth the risk of getting hooked on it because it wasn't helping my depression anyway, so I quit taking it. Then when I was 17, I was going through a really bad patch of insomnia, and the doctor I was seeing at the time put me on this very strong tranquilizer called amitriptyline. Now, my grandmother had taken that when I was younger because she's always had bad problems with insomnia, but I couldn't really remember much about when she was on it. I just recognized the name. Well, I took it for a month, and I was a fucking zombie. I mean, I was a zombie. I couldn't function. So I quit taking it. Now keep in mind, I was only on it 1 month. I tried to go to sleep that night, and my body was in so much fucking pain, and I started throwing up, and I just felt fucking awful, and this went on for like 3 days, and I called Grandma because I knew she used to be on it, and I told her, I said, I quit taking that amitriptyline, and here's what's happening, and she said, Key, you're in withdrawal. I'm like, there's no fucking way, like, I'm still only on it a month. She said, no, you're in withdrawal, and I was. That's how potent and strong that was, and they gave it to me at 17 years old. Now, I was an alcoholic from the time I was 13 years old until I got sick and couldn't drink anymore at 21. I don't mean I drank once in a while or I would binge. I mean I drank every single day between the ages of 13 and 20. And then I kind of slacked off and became more of like a social drinker. But I was an alcoholic. And at the time, I didn't think I had a problem because I was a very high-functioning alcoholic. It didn't get in the way of me taking care of the house or my sister or doing my my homework for my homeschooling that I was doing or anything. I would just wait until everything was done and she was in bed and I would get drunk. But, yeah. I didn't really think of it as a problem until I got older and was like, you know, you drank every fucking day and you were drinking to hide from your problems. Obviously you had a problem, but I didn't look at it that way at the time. But when I got sick with Crohn's, the first year they would give me pain pills for it. Now keep in mind I did not have a doctor, I didn't have insurance. So I would go to the ER to get fluids because I dehydrated all the time, and I still do if I'm not careful, where I go to the bathroom so much and where my body has trouble absorbing shit. Not literally, I just realized that. Anyway, so they would give me, you know, pain pills, and I wouldn't take them because the pain would come and go, and I didn't need it. Well, a year later, it got so bad that I could no longer eat without taking a pain pill first because the pain was just too intense, and I would go days and days and days without eating until I got a pain pill. And again, keep in mind, I had no doctor. When I would go to the ER, they would give me either Vicodin 5 or Percocet 5 because they don't give you anything stronger than that through an ER. But I bought them off the streets. I'm not going to lie about that. There was a point in time when if I could get a hold of some money, because of course I have no fucking money. I wasn't, you know, I had no job. But if I could get somebody to give me a couple bucks, I would buy a pain pill so I could eat that night. And I never, like, it was never about getting high for me. I never liked the high. The thing about alcohol that was so appealing to me was as long as I didn't go too overboard with it, I was still in control. And when I did get high from pain pills, I did not feel in control. And I have a very strange tolerance, probably because of the chemical imbalance. So it didn't take long for my tolerance to get to a point where it didn't get me high anymore. And I was fine with that because it wasn't about that. But it also got to a point where the pain was increasing. My brain was making it, you know, so that I was getting a tolerance to it, and it just wasn't working for pain anymore. But it was the only thing I thought I had, and it made me feel really, really bad about myself. Not because I have anything against anybody who has to take pain pills for pain, but because that was the one thing I swore to God I would never fucking do. And I thought that, typically the way it goes is if you don't try a drug, you don't have to worry about getting hooked on drugs. Nobody ever tells you about what happens when you're sick and you have to have pain pills in order to get up in the morning because the pain is so fucking bad you can't function. No one prepares you for that. Or when you have, a mental illness and you need things like Xanax or you need Seroquel or you need whatever in order to function because of your mental illness. People don't tell you that problems with your body can make you an addict. But it can, because that's the first thing a doctor is going to do, is throw a pill at it. And Brenda Crozier made an excellent fucking video about this, and I'll put the link to her video in the description bar because she did an excellent job talking about this. But no one puts it out there that if you search and if you're interested in it, you may be able to find some kind of herbal remedy for physical pain or for inflammation. But when you have Crohn's disease and any type of autoimmune disorder, God, I'm sorry, this fucking migraine is fucking me up. When you have any type of autoimmune disorder, your choices as far as medication go are very fucking limited. Here's what you have. You have anti-inflammatories, which can cause severe stomach problems like ulcers or just plain eating away at your stomach until your stomach is bleeding and all that kind of shit. You have steroids, which cause all kinds of problems to your body and to your mind. And you have biologics, which completely destroy your immune system and cause cancer. And pain pills, of course. And, obviously pain pills can completely destroy your whole fucking life. I've seen it my whole life. But those are your options. And if you have severe Crohn's, or even moderate Crohn's, now, from what I've heard some people have success with these medications with mild forms of Crohn's. But I have never heard anybody with moderate or severe Crohn's that really got any benefit from those medications. But they got plenty fucking sick from them. And if you have a family history of cancer, or, you're already prone to getting cancer, biologics are the worst fucking thing in the world that you can take. I was able to finally, 4 years into all of this, go to a medical clinic that was through the hospital that fucked me over time and time again, but again, that's another video. And I had a family doctor there and a colon rectal doctor that was dealing with the Crohn's stuff. The family doctor kept pushing biologics on me and kept saying, here, take this, take this, take this. And I'm going, I'm not going to fucking take it. 1, I did not have the money to fill it. 2, I knew what they did to your body. Well, I go and see the colon rectal doctor for the first time, and we're talking about my options, and he says, do you have a family history of cancer? Which my family doctor through the clinic knew I did. And I said, yes, I do. And he said, well, you really shouldn't take this then, because with your age and with your family history of cancer, this may end up very badly for you. So, I understand if you don't want to take it. You got one doctor telling you to take it without telling you what it can do. Luckily, I read, side effects, and I read up on medications before I take them because I am sick, I have to do what I can do to preserve my body as long as I can, or I'll fucking die. There are surgeons out there who are cut happy that kill Crohn's patients every day because all they want to do is surgery, 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 and you end up with a necrotic bowel and you die. There are doctors out there that will hand you medications that can kill you without giving a thought to it. Now you hear thunder. I love thunder. But anyway, I do my homework. I cannot and will not trust a doctor just because they are a doctor. And I had to learn that the hard way from having horrible experiences with doctors. I think a lot of people in our society, if a person is a professional, they automatically believe what they say to them. I disagree with that point of view, personally. Pharmaceutical companies make fucking billions off of all of us being sick. That's one of the reasons why I am pretty sure there will never be a cure for Crohn's. Because Crohn's is an autoimmune disorder. That means if you could find, the basic root in order to cure it, you could also cure RA, you could cure AIDS, you could cure eczema, you could cure lupus. All of these diseases combined make the pharmaceutical companies billions every single year. There will not be, I don't think, in my lifetime, a cure for Crohn's because of that. They're not going to give up that money. It's not going to happen. There's been many studies, positive studies, that show that marijuana oil can cure cancer, can help people with autoimmune disorders, can help epileptics. They will not make it legal. It is worse, it is a, harsher punished crime than pot alone. It is very, very penalized. Why is that? Could it be because it will make you better without making you sick? I'm just saying. And I'm not trying to sound like a paranoid hippie. I'm just saying what I have seen from my experiences. Our healthcare system is set up so that doctors get paid for you being sick. So, doctors give you the drugs that are supposed to make you better, that then cause side effects that make you sicker. And then the pharmaceutical companies are getting money from this, and then the government is making money from this. And we wonder why we're all sick or addicted to drugs. The reality is that addiction, in whatever form it takes, is very, very lucrative to the American government. I mean, you have the money and fines that they get for people who get busted on minor possession charges. You have the fact that people are quite pacified and they're in their own little world and they don't notice much and they don't care about much because they're addicted to drugs. I mean, let's get real, that helps. That helps. It helps our government. It helps with bullshit, They pacify you. And the reality is that I personally do not know anyone anymore who has not personally experienced drug addiction or experienced it with their loved ones. This is a fucking epidemic. And the way that I see it, rehab and the way that, we treat drug addiction, it don't fucking work. I mean, if you want to get somebody off drugs, then you need to give them motivation. And to me, if you take a person like the people I grew up with, and, they may have graduated high school, but really didn't go beyond that, they don't really have a means to support themselves. They have the whole fucking world on their shoulders. They're escaping through their addiction, Instead of just taking away the addiction, which will probably lead to them replacing it with another addiction, you have to help them get their life back. And I think that's the piece that we're missing when we're talking about addiction and we're talking about how to treat it. We're not talking about what happens when the stint in rehab is over. And the whole court-ordered rehab to me is the most ridiculous fucking thing I've ever heard because, yes, I do agree that people who are drug addicts do not belong in jail. I do agree that rehab is a better alternative. But I have never met a fucking person who got off drugs from going to rehab before they were ready to get off drugs. And again, that goes back to you have to give them the motivation. You have to say to them, all those things you're hiding from with your addiction, all those things you don't want to face, here, we'll help you fix them. We'll help you get your life back. That's what we're missing. And that's, again, my personal opinion. And that's just the way that I see shit. Maybe right, maybe wrong, I don't know. But I have already gone on for 30 fucking minutes about this. So I'm going to stop here. And I'm sorry if I upset anybody or if anybody who knows me saw this and thought I was bashing anybody. I am not bashing anybody with addiction. There are so many ways that it can come to that. And people don't understand. People don't understand that physical and mental illness can lead to addiction. People don't understand that getting on drugs at 13 years old is possible, it does happen, and it makes it so much harder to get out. People don't understand the reasons that people who are hiding through their addiction and not facing reality through their addiction are doing that. They don't understand those people who judge. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you all have a beautiful week, and I hope you remember to smile.